Hi, I'm Ryan, 34. And last week I got slapped in the face without anyone lifting a hand. It happened the morning after I gave my parents a fully restored 1965 Jaguar E-Type worth $210,000 as a retirement gift. That car was my masterpiece. My tribute, my way of finally being seen. I imagine my dad's eyes lighting up, my mom tearing up. The proud family moment I dreamed of since I was the teenager they forgot to pick up from band practice. And they did light up. Just not for me. Because 12 hours later, I overheard my father casually telling my younger brother Kyle, "Well, you've always been the one who'd appreciate it more anyway. It's yours now." Asterisk, I'll start with the car because that's where this stupid hope began. The 1965 Jaguar E-Type. British racing green, wire wheels, caramel leather interior, rebuilt from the ground up over 3 years. I bought it as a salvage case with a broken axle and half a dashboard. I sunk weekends, vacation days, and what should have been my house down payment into that machine. I didn't grow up in a car family. We were more of a drive it till the wheels fall off, duct tape the bumper, hope for the best clan. My dad didn't change oil. He yelled at receipts. But when I was 13, I caught him staring at an old E-Type parked outside the dentist's office. He didn't say anything. Just stood there, hands in his pockets, squinting like the car was telling him something. When I asked what kind of car it was, he muttered, "Perfection. You'll never see one like that again." I didn't forget. Not then, not ever. I was the invisible kid. The good one. Kyle was the big personality, the high school quarterback. The golden child, the accidental baby who never got blamed for anything. Me, I brought home solid B's, kept to myself, and quietly made the honor roll while Kyle ran over my bike with Dad's truck. And got praised for not denying it. But I kept going. Got a mechanical engineering degree. Landed a steady job at an aerospace firm. Built a boring but reliable life with a modest apartment and an espresso machine I actually used. I didn't want their money. I wanted their notice. Their "Wow, Ryan, we're proud of you." I spent 3 years sourcing parts. 1 year on bodywork alone. And last month, I finally finished it. The car was flawless. I rented a covered trailer to deliver it, detailed it to the point of obsession, and parked it in their driveway on a Tuesday morning with a red ribbon across the hood and a handwritten card on the dash. They came outside in bathrobes, bleary-eyed and confused. Then stunned. Then delighted. "Ryan, is this?" My dad's voice broke. Mom clutched her chest like she'd just seen an angel materialize in metal. I thought maybe that was it. The moment. The validation. I handed over the keys and said, "It's yours, for retirement, for everything you've done." He patted my shoulder once, called it a hell of a machine. Said we should take it for a spin this weekend. I didn't even care that he didn't hug me. I floated home. Didn't sleep. The next morning I swung by to check the tire pressure and leave a bottle of specialized car shampoo. That's what I heard at from inside the garage, through the cracked door, Dad's voice. He means well. "But come on, Kyle, you're the car guy." I barely know how to pop the hood. "You take it? And Kyle?" He laughed. "Don't have to tell me twice. I'll get it registered today." I froze. Shampoo bottle in hand. My chest cracked in slow motion. I backed away, got in my car, and drove home so fast I nearly clipped a trash bin. I didn't cry. Not until the voicemail came that afternoon. "Hey, bud." Dad said, casual like he was asking me to pick up milk. "Kyle's gonna drive the Jag for now. He knows how to take care of that kind of thing. You okay with that? Talk soon." I played it 5 times and then I deleted it. Then I sat in silence so long my neighbor knocked just to see if I was still alive. That car was the most personal thing I'd ever made. It wasn't just a car, it was proof. Evidence that I was worth seeing. Worth celebrating. And now it was Kyle's, because he was the car guy. Not the guy who built it, not the guy who paid for it, not the guy who gave it away. I was the donor. He was the heir. And the worst part? Kyle smirked when I stopped by that evening. "You should see how fast it goes in 3rd gear," he said, tossing the keys in his palm like he was born with them. I walked away before I said something I couldn't take back. Or maybe something I could not say. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't about the car. It was about the pattern. And I was done pretending I didn't see it. Asterisk, the thing about betrayal is that it rarely arrives like a hurricane. It's not loud, not dramatic. It's quiet. A slow leak under your feet that you only notice once the floor gives out. I spent the next 2 days trying to pretend I was fine. I told myself I gave the car freely, that gifts didn't come with conditions. I even texted my mom. A polite "glad you liked it," just to keep the illusion alive. She replied with a thumbs up emoji, not even words. A damn emoji. Meanwhile, Kyle had already posted 3 Instagram stories with the Jag. One was a selfie with the caption, "Early retirement starts now," and another was him revving the engine in front of a gas station while some girl in a crop top shouted, "Let's goo-oo, baby." He didn't tag me? Of course not. The third one stung most dad in the passenger seat. Laughing, beer in hand. Beer in my Jag. A beer in my restoration, which I built like a surgeon with a torque wrench. My dad, who used to say, "I don't trust myself with anything more expensive than a microwave," was now kicking back in the car I hand-polished with microfiber cloths and obsessively calibrated like it was my child. That's when I stopped pretending. I drove back to their house Saturday morning. No plan, just hurt, boiled down and pressurized into something dangerously close to clarity. The Jag was in the driveway, parked crooked, mud on the tires. A bird had crapped on the roof. The hood was open, wires hanging. A toolbox on the ground next to it, Kyle holding a wrench like he was posing for a Sears catalog. His shirt read, "Torque of the town." Dad stood beside him holding a shop towel like he was suddenly a man of grit and grease. "We're just tuning it up," he called, like this was a bonding moment. Kyle's got a feel for these things. I didn't say a word. I walked straight past them into the garage, grabbed the microfiber cloths from the cabinet where I'd left them, and came back out. "Ryan," Dad said, blinking, "everything okay?" I looked at Kyle. "You registered it yet?" Kyle grinned. "Working on it." "DMV lines, man?" I nodded. Then I leaned in, real calm, real even. "Cool. So technically, it's still mine." Dad frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean," I said, pulling a folded paper from my jacket pocket, "the title's still in my name. I signed the transfer, but I hadn't mailed it yet." Kyle's grin faltered. "You serious?" I turned to Dad. "You said you didn't know how to pop the hood. Now you're supervising a tune-up? This car is worth 6 figures. And I'm not letting you two turn it into a prop in your father-son make-believe garage fantasy." "Whoa," Kyle said. "We were just trying to—" "No," I snapped louder than I intended. "You weren't trying, you were taking, like you always do." Dad stepped back, his brows narrowing. "That's not fair, Ryan." "No?" I held up the cloths. "You know how many hours I spent sanding this paint? How many weekends I spent alone in a freezing garage just trying to make something that meant something. I didn't give you a car. I gave you proof that I'm worth being proud of. And you gave it to Kyle. Like it was a coat you were done wearing." They said nothing. Just stood there like statues carved out of selfishness and old habits. I stuffed the cloths in my trunk. "I'll be towing it back this afternoon." Dad blinked. "You can't just—" "I can. I haven't mailed the title. I have insurance on it. I have receipts. You want it? Buy it. From me. Or from the collector down in Monterey who's already offered me $225,000. Kyle stepped forward. "You're being dramatic." "No," I said. "I'm being done." And that was the truth. I was done. Done waiting to be chosen. Done. Letting my love be filtered through the lens of convenience. Done handing them gold only to be told it wasn't glittery enough. Back at my place, I called a towing company I knew. They loaded the Jag onto a flatbed with more care than my family had shown it in a week. When the driver asked what happened, I just said, "Wrong hands." He nodded. That happens. I spent that afternoon cleaning out the glove box. The card I'd written, "For your retirement, from the son who remembers everything you forgot," was still there, unread, still sealed. I threw it away. That night, my mom called, voicemail only. "Ryan, we didn't mean to hurt you." "It's just a car." Kyle got excited. "Your father didn't think you'd mind." "Please call us." "It's just a car." I watched that message 4 times, sitting beside the Jag in my garage, still gleaming. Still mine. And for the first time, I let myself admit what I'd known since I was 12. It was never about the car. It was about being enough. And I wasn't. Not to them, but maybe finally I was enough to me. The funny thing about walking away is that you expect a moment of triumph. Like a movie scene, the kind with swelling music and wind in your hair as you stride into your new era. What you don't expect is the quiet. The eerie stillness that settles when nobody calls. When the silence becomes its own kind of grief. For the first week after I took the Jaguar back, no one said a word. No angry voicemails from Dad, no passive-aggressive text from Mom, not even a sarcastic "hope you're happy now" from Kyle. Just nothing. Like I'd been deleted from the group chat of my own family. And weirdly, that hurt more than I thought it would. Because part of me, the smallest, dumbest part, thought maybe they'd chase me. That they'd realize what they'd done, apologize, say they messed up. But they didn't. They just carried on. 3 days later, Kyle posted a photo of a Mustang on Instagram with the caption, "New project, real drivers don't rely on hand-me-downs." Subtle. I stared at that post for a full 5 minutes. Then, I turned my phone off, walked to the garage, and started working on the Jag again, not because it needed it, but because I did. I polished the trim, retorqued every bolt, realigned the steering column. It was therapy, but louder and covered in grease. I didn't answer their calls. I didn't send updates. I didn't play the game anymore. I'd gotten somewhere in that silence. Something shifted. I started sleeping better. I stopped pacing. I started sketching again old habits from college I'd abandoned somewhere between disappointment and adulthood. I opened an Instagram account for my restoration work. Posted before and after shots. Didn't expect much. By the end of the week, I had 500 followers. By the end of the month, a small flood of DMs from car guys, garage girls, even a retired mechanic in Michigan who said my posts made him want to get back into restoration. Then came the big one, a message from a classic car magazine editor. He'd seen the Jag on my page. Saw, "The finish work is surgical. You interested in a feature?" I laughed out loud. Alone in my kitchen, oatmeal in one hand, phone in the other, I typed, "You serious?" He replied with a link to the latest issue. "Dead serious, you've got talent and a voice." I stared at the screen for a long time, then I wrote the article. It poured out of me, every wrench turned, every wire rerouted, every reason behind the obsession. I wrote about the late nights, the busted knuckles, the way I built this car, the way I wish someone had built me, carefully, with purpose. With pride. They published it. 3 weeks later, I got an email from a collector in Arizona. He'd read the piece. Said he'd never seen a restoration that carried so much soul. Offered $260. No negotiation. Just name your price and I'll wire the funds today. I stared at that email for hours, because the truth was, I hadn't built the car to sell it, but I also hadn't built it to sit like a monument to paint in my garage. So I sold it. And I cried, quietly, on the garage floor. Like something sacred was leaving me. But when the money hit my account, I didn't feel hollow. I felt light. With that money, I launched a full restoration side business. Rented a shop. Bought a lift. Took in 2 client cars from folks who followed me online. One of them cried when they saw the finished job. Called me an artist. I was starting to believe them. And still nothing from my family. Not a word about the article. Not a congrats on the business. Not a peep about the sale. Until the day I got the wedding invite. Kyle, getting married. To a girl named Jess who once told me I seemed like the kind of guy who alphabetizes his condiments. The envelope was thick. Fancy, the kind that screams, "Look how adult we are now." The invite, equally thick. Black and gold print. RSVP card with multiple entree choices. And one handwritten note at the bottom in my mother's perfect cursive, "We'd love to see the Jaguar parked out front." I stared at that line so long the words stopped making sense. It wasn't even a question. Not, "Would you bring it?" Not, "Could we show it off?" Just, "We'd love to see it parked out front," like I was valet, like the car they handed off, like a hot potato was still theirs to flaunt. And me, I was just the delivery guy. I didn't reply, not to the RSVP, not to the text that followed. When I didn't, not to the voicemail my mother left 2 days before the wedding, whispering like it was some dramatic soap opera. "Ryan, I know things have been tense, but this is family. It would mean the world to Kyle to have the car there. He's always admired your work. Please don't make this about old wounds." Old wounds, like I hadn't just bled out 6 months ago, like the knife wasn't still warm. The day of the wedding, I stayed home. I made pancakes. I changed oil in a 72 Datsun. I just brought into the shop. I finished a quote for a new client in Nevada who wanted to fly me out to work on his Alfa Romeo Dot, and when I checked Instagram that evening, Kyle had posted a story from the reception. The caption, "No Jag today. Guess some things aren't as reliable as they look." I didn't comment, I didn't call. I just clicked the little mute button because I wasn't the valet, I was the builder, and I was done giving away masterpieces to people who couldn't see the art. I didn't go looking for revenge. That's the part most people don't get. They think when someone cuts you deep, you spend every day plotting to come back. But honestly, I just wanted peace. I didn't want to win. I wanted to stop losing. But sometimes peace and power walk hand in hand. 3 months after the wedding, I was fully booked through next spring. My little restoration shop, Fox and Wrench, was becoming something real. I'd hired a part-time assistant, bought a proper paint booth, and was halfway through a '67 Corvette rebuild that made me wake up excited to work every day. My hands hurt all the time, my inbox was chaos, and I'd never been happier. Then one morning, the doorbell rang at the shop. I opened it with grease still on my neck and a torque. Wrench in my back pocket. It was my father, still in his Golf windbreaker. That same plastic smile worn through expression he always had when talking to someone he didn't quite respect but needed something from. "Hey, son," he said. "Thought I'd stop by." My stomach dropped, not from fear, from memory. "Didn't know you knew where I worked," I said. He laughed, awkward. "Your mom follows your page. She prints it out. Puts it on the fridge." I said nothing. Just wiped my hands on a rag and waited. He cleared his throat. "Listen, Kyle's in a bit of a bind." Ah, there it was. They had to sell the Mustang. Payments got away from them. Jess's parents aren't helping anymore. And well, he looked around the shop. "Your place looks successful." I nodded. "It is." Good, he said. "Anyway, Kyle's trying to start something new. Maybe flip cars. He always had an eye for it. Thought maybe you could let him borrow something, just short term. Just to get his feet under him." He meant a car, my car, a car I built from the bottom up. He didn't say which one because to him, they were all interchangeable. Just trophies on wheels. He looked around like he was at a dealership, already imagining Kyle behind the wheel. I gestured toward the old Civic parked out back, the one I used to deliver pizzas in. "You can take that one," I said. Dad blinked. That's not really what we had in mind." "Oh, I know," I said. "But that's the one I drove when I was sleeping in it. Figured maybe Kyle could start where I did." His smile faltered. "Ryan, come on, you don't have to be like this." "No," I said. "I don't. I choose to be like this." He didn't speak. So I did. "I gave you something I poured my life into. You handed it to Kyle like it was a hand-me-down sweater. Then he paraded it like he earned it. And you both never once said thank you." Dad's mouth tightened. You never mean to hurt me. You just do it out of habit." He took a breath. "We're still family." "Yeah," I said, "and I still have fingerprints." "Doesn't mean you're entitled to them." That's when he did what people like him always do. When control slips through their fingers, he got defensive. "This attitude of yours, this chip on your shoulder, where does it end? You're not the only one who sacrificed. We did the best we could." "You did the bare minimum," I said, voice low now. "And Kyle got the maximum. Every time, even now. You're here asking me to clean up his mess. Again." Dad looked at the ground. "So, that's a no?" I nodded. "That's a no." He turned to leave, and for a moment I thought that was it. But just as he stepped off the lot, he turned back. "He's still your brother, Ryan." I tilted my head. "He is. But I'm not sure I'm still his." I watched him go. And for the first time, I didn't feel like the one left behind. I felt like the one who'd left on purpose. That afternoon, I got a DM from a stranger. Said he was a producer on a car restoration show streaming on one of the big platforms. He'd read the magazine feature, followed my page, and asked if I'd be interested in filming a pilot. I sat there for a minute, staring at the message like it had been meant for someone else. Then I wrote back, "Tell me more." By weeks. And I was on a video call with producers, showrunners, and a guy named Chad who had way too many rings and said content vertical like it was a prayer. But I didn't care. They wanted me. Not Kyle, not my dad. Me, I told them I wouldn't do drama. No fake deadlines, no yelling. Just honest work and real stories behind the cars. They said yes. 2 weeks later, they sent a camera crew to film at the shop. And here's the part I still can't believe. While they were setting up, one of the producers walked over, eyes wide. Is that the Jag from the article? I nodded. Sold it. He sighed. Shame. That thing was a legend. You ever think of building another? I looked around my shop. Full of cars, parts, possibility. And I said, no, I think I'll build something new. They filmed the pilot that weekend. When it aired a month later, the response was overwhelming. Messages from strangers, requests from collectors, letters from teenagers saying, "You made me want to pick up a wrench." And one comment on the episode's official page that said, he should be proud of himself. We always were. He just never saw it. It was from my mother's account. No name. No profile picture. Just that. I didn't reply, because if they were proud now, it was too late. I didn't build this life for their approval. I built it because I finally stopped begging for theirs. Asterisk. There's a moment right before the engine turns over on a car. You've spent months rebuilding where everything holds its breath. You check the oil twice. You triple check your wiring. You tighten bolts that are already tight. Not because you think it won't work, but because you're afraid that it will. That's what the next year felt like. Everything worked. My life finally roared to life. The pilot turned into a full season. The show Wrenched was a quiet hit. Not flashy, not dramatic, just real. I rebuilt cars and told their stories. Viewers connected with it. With me. I wasn't the loud one. I wasn't the showman. I was the guy who listened to old metal and gave it dignity again, and in some strange full-circle moment, I found my own. I hired 2 new employees. One was a kid named Milo, who reminded me a little too much of myself, quiet, precise, the kind of person who said thank you like it still surprised him people would do anything for him. The other was Amira, a mechanical engineer who'd been told her whole life she wasn't hands-on enough. After 2 weeks on the floor, she rebuilt a transmission from scratch. We were a team. A we. Not just me in a garage, alone with my disappointment. The first time we went out for burgers after a long day, I realized I hadn't thought about my family all week. That was new and beautiful. But silence doesn't mean they disappeared. One morning, I walked into the shop to find a letter taped to the front door. No return address. No stamp. Just a folded note in my mother's handwriting. I watched your episode with the red Impala. You always had a way of listening to what things needed. We were never good at that. I'm sorry. I sat on the shop floor for a long time after reading that. Not because I was overwhelmed. Because I felt nothing. It was too clean. Too easy. No mention of the Jag of the wedding. Of the years I spent waiting to be seen. Just regret. Scrub it of detail. I didn't write back, but I didn't throw the note away either. Because it wasn't for her. It was for me. A piece of evidence that I could hold without letting it hold me. Kyle, for his part, didn't contact me again. Well, almost didn't. 6 months after the show's renewal, I got an email through my shop's website. Subject, opportunity for collaboration message. Hey, man, it's Kyle. Heard the show's doing great. Proud of you. Got an idea I think would be perfect for a future episode. Something about second chances. Call me? I didn't call him, but I printed the email and pinned it to the corkboard in the shop under a Section 1 labeled. People who tried to cash in once you made it. Amira added her high school guidance counselor's email to it the next day. That corkboard got crowded. Success is funny like that. It doesn't just open doors. It attracts everyone who once left you standing on the porch in the rain. I got offers to expand the show. To open another location. To partner with a chain of luxury detailers who kept calling me. Like we were old college buddies. I said no to most of it because for the first time in my life, I didn't want more. I wanted I wanted the engine to turn without drama. I wanted to wake up and know who I was building for. Not a family who saw me as an afterthought. Not a brother who took what wasn't his, but for people who saw the work, who respected the craft, who called me Ryan without expecting anything in return. One of those people was Elise. She came in with a busted Volvo, a coffee stain on her hoodie, and the kind of smirk that made you feel like you just said something dumb. Even if you hadn't. I saw your show, she said. Was gonna ask for an autograph, but figured I'd get a better deal if I acted unimpressed. I laughed. She didn't. Then she smiled. We talked about the car. Then about other things. Then about everything. She asked me once, weeks later, why I never brought up my family. I told her, because I spent too long thinking if I did something big enough, they'd come back. Now that they tried and failed, I realized I don't miss them. I miss who I wanted them to be. She nodded. Then she said, that's heavy. Also, you forgot to tighten the lug nuts. She was right. I did. She became my person, not because she fixed me, but because she never asked. A minute to fix her first. We built something new. Something good. One night, months later, I sat with her on the garage floor. Backs against the Jag's old tire rims. Yes, I kept them. A reminder. She asked, do you regret giving it to them in the first place? I thought about that for a long time. No, I said. Because that car showed me everything I needed to see. They weren't proud of me. They were proud of owning something beautiful. And the moment I stopped being beautiful to them, they gave me away too. She leaned her head on my shoulder. So you took it back? Yeah, I said. But not the car. And that's the truth. I took myself back. My name, my worth, my craft, my voice. And the last piece? That came one afternoon when Milo asked me why I kept a receipt for a Jag I didn't own anymore. Framed on the wall, I looked at him, smiled, and said, because it's the first time I gave something away and decided I was worth keeping instead. He nodded. Cool, still smells like brake fluid in here, though. We both laughed. The sound echoed through the shop, louder than disappointment, louder than silence, louder than any engine I've ever rebuilt, and for once, it sounded like home.